Santam is the market-leading short-term insurer in South Africa.
Indeed, and it is controlled, of course, I think everybody knows, by Sanlam. That's its parent company with about 70% stake, undergoing a management change, but the yellow umbrella has done a fabulous job over the decades here in South Africa, and it is the market leader, as you say.
Market cap, 25.6 billion rand, PE ratio here, 14.8, dividend yield of 3.5%. Santam.
Look, personally, I'm not all that keen on the short-term insurers because of this volatility of the underwriting cycle. They've got to adjust the premiums. I mean, this year, OUTsurance, which we'll talk about later, is going to have a terrible year because they had a couple of big claims happening in their books. But if you can afford, as an investor, to take the longer term, they're actually incredibly good investments, very volatile short term, but very good investments long term.
So short term, you're saying you're not in favor of the short term insurance
the PE ratios are fair, the dividend yields are quite high, but these are incredibly volatile, let's say on a 2 to 3 year basis. But over the longer term, that's why the big life companies like these shares.
Paul, we don't have any exposure to any of these stocks.
We do. We've got some Discovery shares, and one of their division is, in fact, their short-term business. We will talk about that. But they have had a good run. I mean, the recent Santam trading update reflected quite a nice profit from the absence of any crop-related disasters and other things. I think the share price will reveal that they've done quite well in recent times. But as Wayne says, there is always that sense that you can't really bank on the next year's profits being as good. And then further to his earlier point, if you are anxious that the stock market...
There's the share price,
yeah, it looks nice, eh? Looks nice. But if you were anxious that the stock market was too high, then you wouldn't buy these shares because if the market does poorly, then they will do poorly too. It's got that pro-cyclicality.
Are you worried about the market generally? Let's just ask you that question.
Our market is quite expensive, but watch the global long bonds. If they continue in their bear market, which they have been in for, I don't know, a week or two or so, if that continues, then you've got to watch out for the valuation of our market. But they've got to go up a lot more. So today, as we stand here, I'm not too worried about it, but watch the long bond.
Let's talk about the management changes. We know that Ian Kirk is taking over from Johan van Zyl, who is outgoing CEO of Sanlam. Remind me who's coming in to take Ian Kirk's position
by the
as
name
Santam.
of Lisa Lamprecht, who's a 12-year senior management veteran with Santam. She ran the personal finance insurance business. I don't know her. I've never met her, but she...
understanding the Santam business.
Everyone who talks about her says she's fabulous.
Do you have any more detail on Lisa?
At the end of the day, running a short-term insurance is balancing your risks. So it's effectively your underwriting. The long-term return on the market is more or less the same for everyone as it is for virtually every investment manager. So it's the underwriters that are key.
Let me ask you that question. Who invests Santam's pot of statutory reserves?
Does it, but they also do a bit of in-house investing themselves, if I'm not mistaken.
So you could have a major call on the market which goes wrong, which could imperil the returns in the following year.
But they have got internal risks and risk mitigating things and balances. I mean, remember, every life company changed their outlook on risk, on shareholder capital when 2008 happened. They all changed. They all de-risked the shareholder. In other words, the assets backing the liability effectively. They all de-risked these when that happened.
Do we call hot or not on Santam?
Yep, let's go for hot or not. You know, I'm going to go with hot. I think there's still more business to be written, as I indicated earlier, and I'm positive about the market outlook. So by extension, I think there's more juice here.
Hot or not?
I think you can go hot, but understand it's maybe not for the hot stocks portfolio, but for a longer term investor, if you can withstand the short term volatility, they're actually very good shares.
Hot on Santam from both our players.